What if I told you that every thought you've ever had, every emotion you've ever felt, and every reality you've ever experienced is nothing more than a frequency broadcast from the deepest layers of your consciousness? There's a quantum discovery that explains why you keep attracting the same patterns, the same relationships, the same limitations, despite all your efforts to change your life. The moment you understand what you're actually broadcasting, you stop trying to fix your external world and start tuning the frequency that creates it. Everything shifts. Here's what's shocking about this discovery. Every single second of your waking life, you're transmitting a complex symphony of electromagnetic frequencies through your thoughts, emotions, and cellular vibrations. But most people live their entire lives completely unconscious of what they're broadcasting, wondering why their relationships keep following the same painful scripts, why abundance feels so elusive, why that version of themselves they dream about seems perpetually out of reach. They're trying to change their circumstances instead of changing the frequency that creates those circumstances. They think positive thoughts while their cellular memory vibrates with old wounds. They visualize success while their nervous system broadcasts unworthiness. They affirm abundance while their heart frequency resonates with scarcity. But they don't realize that authentic transformation happens when your entire being, from your conscious thoughts to your unconscious cellular patterns, aligns in the same frequency. And this is exactly why willpower and surface-level changes don't create lasting transformation. But there's a quantum principle that changes everything. When you understand that every cell in your body is a broadcasting station, transmitting the story of who you believe yourself to be into the quantum field that responds by mirroring that story back to you as your lived reality, you can stop fighting your circumstances and start consciously programming the frequency that creates them. I'm going to show you the exact process for identifying your current frequency signature, clearing the static that's been distorting your broadcast, and tuning into the frequency of the person you've always imagined yourself to be. Plus, I'll give you the coherence technique that makes this shift automatic, so you become the living embodiment of your highest vision instead of a prisoner of your past programming. Every unconscious moment you live is a missed opportunity to literally reprogram your reality from the quantum level up. And most people waste thousands of these opportunities every single day. When you were born, you didn't think your way into existence. You vibrated. Your very first act in this physical reality wasn't a thought, a word, or even a sound. It was a frequency. Your soul entered this dimension not through the complexity of language or the cleverness of your developing mind, but through the pure vibrational essence of your being. In that moment, you knew something that you've since forgotten. Frequency is the bridge between who you are and who you're becoming. But somewhere along the way, we learned to vibrate like victims instead of like the creators we are. We began broadcasting from our wounds rather than from our wholeness. Take a moment right now and notice your current state. What's the quality of your thoughts? What emotions are moving through your system? If you're like most people, you're probably carrying some background tension, some low-level anxiety about the future, some replay of past conversations or concerns. This is what I call survival frequency. The kind that keeps your body functioning but leaves your soul starving for authentic expression. Ancient wisdom keepers understood something we've forgotten in our modern world. From the Vedic understanding of sound as the fundamental creative force to the Egyptian mystery schools that taught reality as frequencies of consciousness, cultures across time recognized vibration as far more than a physical phenomenon. They knew it was the sacred language through which consciousness communicates with the quantum field, the bridge between the unseen realm of possibility and the seen world of manifestation. In these traditions, frequency mastery wasn't just a practice. It was a way of being. The ancient Egyptians taught that each level of consciousness had its own vibrational signature, and that by aligning with higher frequencies, one could literally step into different realities. The yogis discovered that specific vibrational states could shift not just your inner experience, but the very fabric of your external circumstances. They weren't speaking metaphorically. They understood that when you vibrate consciously, you're not just changing your mood or your perspective. You're changing the fundamental code that programs your reality. Think about this. Every breakthrough you've ever had, every moment of deep peace, every experience of synchronicity or flow has been accompanied by a particular frequency state. When you're in fear, your entire being vibrates with contraction and limitation. When you're in love, your cellular structure resonates with expansion and possibility. Your frequency isn't just reflecting your experience, it's creating it. The difference between unconscious frequency and masterful frequency is awareness. Unconscious frequency happens to you, driven by your conditioning, your past traumas, your inherited patterns. Masterful frequency happens through you, with you as a conscious conductor of the vibrational symphony that creates your reality. When you begin to vibrate with intention, with presence, with reverence for this incredible creative power that flows through every cell of your being, something magical begins to happen. You stop being a passive recipient of whatever reality happens to show up and you become an active co-creator, consciously tuning the frequency that shapes your world. This is where frequency becomes mastery. Because every vibration you hold from that place of awareness is no longer just maintaining your current reality. It's consciously creating your desired reality. What I'm about to reveal will shatter the illusion you've been living under. You think you're in control of your vibration, but you're actually broadcasting the frequency of your deepest unconscious patterns. Most of us spend our entire lives believing we are our conscious thoughts and surface emotions. We wake up in the morning and immediately the familiar frequency begins. I need to check my phone. I wonder what crisis awaits me today. I hope I can get through this meeting. I should probably worry about that thing I can't control. And we assume this vibrational signature is us. But what if I told you that's not who you really are? Right now, as you're taking in these words, I want you to do something simple. Pause and tune into the deeper frequency beneath your surface thoughts. Feel the energy that animates your entire being. Notice the quality of presence that's aware of your thoughts, your emotions, your physical sensations, but isn't defined by any of them. As you do this, something remarkable is happening. You're becoming the conscious conductor of your frequency rather than just the unconscious broadcaster. Now, while you're tuning into this deeper frequency, notice what your mental commentary is doing. It might be analyzing, this is interesting, or judging, I don't feel anything different, or anticipating, when will I see results? Here's the beautiful revelation. If you can observe those mental frequencies, if you can sense them arising and dissolving, then you cannot be those frequencies. You are the awareness that perceives them, the consciousness that can choose which frequencies to amplify and which to dissolve. This is the birth of the frequency master. The part of you that exists beyond the automatic broadcasts of your conditioning. Think of it like being a radio operator. Your thoughts and emotions are like different stations broadcasting constantly. Sometimes you're tuned to the anxiety station, sometimes to the worry station, sometimes to the anger or sadness stations. But you, the real you, are the one who can consciously choose which station to tune into and how long to listen. You're not the broadcasts. You're the awareness that can select the frequency. In quantum physics, they've discovered that consciousness itself is a frequency, and that this frequency of awareness can literally influence the behavior of subatomic particles. The observer effect shows us that the act of conscious observation changes reality at the most fundamental level. This isn't just theory. This is the mechanics of manifestation. Your ego mind, that survival-based frequency that never stops broadcasting its fears and needs, wants you to believe it's your only option. It creates elaborate stories about who you are, what's possible for you, what others think of you. It lives in constant replay of past disappointments and projection of future anxieties. But the frequency master lives only in this moment, in the eternal now where all creative power resides. When you begin to identify more with your capacity to choose your frequency and less with the automatic broadcasts of your conditioning, something profound shifts. You stop being reactive and become responsive. Instead of being hijacked by every emotional frequency that arises, you can sense them, acknowledge them, and consciously choose how to respond. This is where your real freedom begins. Your breath becomes your tuning fork to this master frequency. Every time you return your attention to the rhythm of your breathing, you're returning to the place where you can consciously choose your vibrational state. You're stepping out of the automatic broadcasts of your past programming and into the creative frequency of your authentic self. This isn't just a spiritual concept. This is quantum mechanics in action. The frequency you hold literally shapes the reality you experience. When you become the conscious master of your vibrational state, you gain the power to influence and shape your entire life experience. Have you ever experienced a moment when everything just flowed perfectly? When the right people appeared at the right time, when solutions emerged effortlessly, when you felt completely aligned with life itself? Hidden in that state is a specific frequency signature that you can learn to access at will. But 99% of people never discover how to tune into it consistently. Those moments of perfect flow that you just remembered weren't accidents or lucky breaks. They were glimpses of what becomes possible when you align with your mastery frequency, when you stop broadcasting the static of resistance and tune into the clear signal of your authentic creative power. In that aligned state, you touched something beyond ordinary reality, something that quantum physicists are just beginning to understand. You discovered your coherence frequency. Take a moment right now and recall one of those peak experiences, but this time, pay attention not just to what happened, but to the quality of your being in that moment. There was probably a sense of timelessness, a feeling of being completely present. Your usual mental chatter likely quieted, and there was a quality of trust, of knowing that everything was unfolding perfectly. This is your coherence frequency, the vibrational signature of your highest self. Ancient Egyptian mystery schools understood this secret profoundly. In the temples along the Nile, initiates were taught to cultivate what they called the frequency of the gods, a specific vibrational state that aligned them with the creative forces of the universe. They knew that when a human being achieved this coherence, they became a living conduit for divine intelligence to express itself in physical reality. These weren't just spiritual practices. They were advanced technologies for conscious reality creation. The Egyptians understood what neuroscience is now proving. When your heart, mind, and gut centers achieve coherent resonance, when all your systems are vibrating in harmony rather than in the chaos of internal conflict, you enter what researchers call a hypercreative state. In this coherence, your nervous system operates at peak efficiency, your intuition becomes razor-sharp, and your ability to influence your environment increases exponentially. It's like the difference between an orchestra where each musician is playing their own song versus an orchestra where everyone is playing in perfect harmony. When your entire being achieves coherence, you become like a master conductor creating a symphony of reality rather than a cacophony of conflicting desires and fears. Think of this coherence as your natural state, the frequency you were designed to operate from. Just as a tuning fork naturally resonates at its intended frequency, you have an innate frequency of coherence that, when accessed, brings all aspects of your life into harmony. It's not about forcing or controlling anything. It's about returning to the frequency that's most authentic to who you are. Most people rush through their lives, constantly shifting between different emotional and mental frequencies without ever finding their center. They respond to every external stimulus, every stress, every demand, by fragmenting their energy across dozens of different vibrational states. But when you learn to return to your coherence frequency, when you can access this state of internal harmony regardless of external circumstances, you discover that this is where all true creative power lives. In the coherence frequency, you're not trying to manipulate reality. You're aligning with it so completely that reality naturally reorganizes itself around your clarity. But accessing this coherence frequency is only the beginning. There's something even more profound waiting to be activated. Your entire body has been designed as a sophisticated frequency-generating instrument, but most people never learn to play it consciously. That deeper activation I mentioned isn't found by trying harder or thinking more positive thoughts. It's discovered by recognizing that your physical body is actually a complex bioelectromagnetic field, a living antenna that's constantly transmitting and receiving frequency information to and from the quantum field that surrounds all things. Just as ancient civilizations built magnificent temples to amplify and focus spiritual energy, you too must learn to activate your body as a conscious frequency generator, not through external devices or complicated techniques, but through awareness and intention working in harmony with your natural bioelectromagnetic design. Think about the great spiritual sites of the world, places like Stonehenge, the pyramids of Giza, Machu Picchu. These weren't built randomly. Every stone was placed with precision to create specific frequency resonances that could amplify human consciousness and facilitate connection with higher dimensions of awareness. Your body operates on the same principles. It's already a living temple, a sophisticated frequency instrument, but most people never learn to activate it consciously. The ancient Egyptians understood this profoundly. They mapped the human body as a series of frequency centers, what we now call chakras, each one designed to generate and transmit specific qualities of consciousness. They knew that when these centers were activated in harmony, a human being became capable of extraordinary states of awareness and creative power. As you begin to work with frequency more consciously, you might notice something interesting happening. Certain areas of your body may feel more alive, more energized, while others might feel dull or blocked. Your chest might carry old emotional frequencies from past relationships that never fully resolved. Your throat might hold the frequency of words you never allowed yourself to speak. Your solar plexus might vibrate with old fears about your personal power. These aren't just physical sensations. They're frequency signatures. Your body has been storing the vibrational patterns of every significant experience, every strong emotion, every trauma and triumph in its cellular memory. That tightness in your chest might be holding the frequency of grief that never fully processed. The tension in your shoulders could be broadcasting the frequency of responsibilities that were never yours to carry. But here's the beautiful thing about conscious frequency work. It doesn't just reveal these old patterns, it helps transform them. Each time you bring conscious awareness to a stuck frequency in your body, you're creating the possibility for it to shift, to release, to return to its natural state of harmony. Imagine your body as a magnificent instrument, like a Stradivarius violin or a concert grand piano. If some of the strings are out of tune, the entire instrument sounds off, no matter how skillfully you try to play it. But when each string is tuned to its perfect frequency, when every component is vibrating in harmony, the instrument becomes capable of creating music so beautiful it can move people to tears. Through conscious frequency work, you're not trying to fix your body or force it to be different. You're learning to tune it, to help each part remember its natural frequency so that your entire being can vibrate as the masterpiece it was designed to be. This isn't about perfection. It's about coherence, about all parts of your being working together in harmony rather than in conflict. The Egyptians built their pyramids to precise mathematical specifications that created powerful frequency fields capable of facilitating expanded states of consciousness. Through conscious frequency work, you're doing the same thing with your body. You're activating your natural capacity to generate coherent frequencies that not only heal and harmonize your internal world but also broadcast a signal that attracts harmony in your external reality. Once your internal frequency instrument is activated, something remarkable begins to happen to everything around you. Science has proven that coherent heart frequencies can be detected and measured up to 8 feet from your body, which means you're constantly influencing everyone around you with the quality of your vibrational state. That remarkable influence extending around you isn't just poetic metaphor. It's measurable science that reveals one of the most profound secrets of human potential. Research from the HeartMath Institute has shown that when your heart achieves coherence, when your emotions and thoughts align in harmony, you generate a powerful electromagnetic field that extends far beyond your physical body. And this field has the capacity to influence the nervous systems of other people, animals, even plants within its range. When your frequency is chaotic, fragmented by internal conflict, worry, or fear, your field broadcasts that chaos to everyone in your environment. But when your frequency becomes coherent, when you achieve that state of internal harmony we've been exploring, your field becomes a source of coherence that others can actually feel and entrain to. Think of your frequency field like ripples on a pond. When you drop a stone into still water, the ripples spread outward in perfect concentric circles, influencing everything they touch. When you achieve frequency coherence, you become like that stone, creating waves of harmony that spread outward, touching everyone and everything in your environment. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt either agitated or calm without anyone saying a word? Have you ever noticed how certain people seem to carry peace with them wherever they go, while others seem to bring drama and chaos? This isn't imagination. It's the frequency field in action. We're constantly transmitting our internal state through the electromagnetic field generated by our heart, brain, and nervous system. And others are receiving these transmissions whether they realize it or not. Children and animals are especially sensitive to these frequency fields. They haven't yet learned to override their natural intuition, so they respond immediately to the energy you're broadcasting. When a parent is broadcasting stress and anxiety, children often become restless or clingy without understanding why. But when that same parent shifts into coherence, the child often calms naturally, as if by magic. This is frequency entrainment in action. This field effect extends to every interaction you have. When you hold coherent frequency before difficult conversations, you're not just preparing yourself. You're creating an energetic container that can hold whatever needs to emerge with greater harmony. When you walk into your workplace centered in your coherence frequency, you're subtly influencing the entire atmosphere, making it easier for creativity, collaboration, and positive outcomes to flow. The beautiful thing about understanding your frequency field is that it reveals how connected we all truly are. You're not just an isolated individual trying to improve your own life. You're part of a vast web of consciousness, and every moment you spend in coherent frequency contributes to the overall field of possibility on this planet. But this influence isn't something you need to manage or control. It happens naturally when you focus on maintaining your own frequency coherence. The field responds to authenticity, not performance. When you vibrate from a genuine place of harmony and peace, that authenticity radiates outward without any effort on your part. This is why the ancient teachings often spoke of the awakened person as someone who serves simply by being. They understood that consciousness itself is contagious, that coherence is magnetic, and that one person vibrating from their mastery frequency can shift the energy of an entire environment. You've traveled deep into the layers of frequency that create your reality. Not across physical space, but across the vibrational dimensions of your own being, through the electromagnetic fields of your heart, the quantum frequencies of your consciousness, the cellular memory patterns that have been shaping your life experience. The most successful people in history mastered one thing you've probably never been taught: how to access infinite creative power through frequency alignment. And in that journey through your own vibrational landscape, you've discovered something the world doesn't want you to know. The most powerful thing you can do is not to try harder, but to align more completely. We live in a culture that worships effort, that tells us more action equals more results, that keeps us constantly busy, constantly striving, constantly pushing toward the next achievement. But the quantum field that responds to your consciousness operates by completely different laws. The field doesn't respond to how hard you try. It responds to how coherently you vibrate. It doesn't care about your to-do list or your 5-year plan. It cares about your frequency, your alignment, your state of being. And the most powerful state of all is coherent alignment. Not the alignment that comes from forcing yourself into some artificial positive state, but the dynamic coherence of someone who has learned to vibrate in harmony with their authentic self. Think about a tuning fork for a moment. When you strike a perfectly tuned fork, it doesn't struggle to create its note. It doesn't force or strain. It simply resonates at its natural frequency, and that pure tone can actually cause other tuning forks of the same frequency to begin vibrating in sympathy, even from across the room. This is the kind of frequency mastery that moves worlds. When you learn to vibrate consistently at the frequency of who you truly are, when you achieve coherence between your deepest knowing and your lived experience, something extraordinary happens. Reality begins to reorganize itself around you instead of against you. Opportunities that you could never have forced begin to appear naturally. People who can help you seem to cross your path at exactly the right moment. Solutions to challenges you've been facing suddenly become obvious. This isn't magic. It's frequency mechanics. When you're vibrating in coherent alignment, you're no longer broadcasting the chaotic signals of desperation, control, or struggle. Instead, you're emanating the clear frequency of trust, authenticity, and creative power. The quantum field responds to this coherence by organizing circumstances to match your vibrational state. Consider a master musician playing a complex piece. They're not fighting the instrument or struggling with each note. They've achieved such mastery that the music seems to flow through them effortlessly. The instrument, the music, and the musician become one coherent expression. This is the kind of frequency mastery you can cultivate with your entire life. Not the mastery of someone who has learned to control every circumstance, but the mastery of someone who has learned to vibrate so clearly, so authentically, that life itself begins to dance in harmony with their frequency. The difference between control and alignment becomes crystal clear when you understand frequency. Control tries to manipulate external circumstances to match internal desires. Alignment allows internal coherence to magnetize external harmony. Control is exhausting because you're fighting against the natural frequency of life. Alignment is effortless because you're flowing with it. When you achieve frequency mastery, when you learn to vibrate consistently from your authentic center, you're not trying to make things happen. You're allowing things to happen through the clear channel of your coherent being. This doesn't mean becoming passive or inactive. True frequency mastery is incredibly alive, incredibly dynamic. It's the coherence of a master conductor just before the symphony begins. Completely focused, completely present, completely aligned with the music that wants to emerge. From this place, your actions become effortless and incredibly effective because they're arising from alignment rather than effort, from coherence rather than control. Now, as you prepare to step back into your regular life, understand that you're not returning as who you were. You're returning as someone who knows the secret. Someone who understands that beneath every external circumstance is a frequency, and that frequency can be consciously chosen. And now you return not to who you were, but to who you've always been beneath the static. The frequency brought you here. And now it reveals the final truth. Mastery is not the accumulation of techniques. Mastery is the consistent choice to vibrate as your authentic self. You've journeyed through the sacred science of frequency, discovering that every moment of your life is an opportunity for conscious vibrational choice. You've awakened the frequency master within, that eternal part of you that can consciously choose which vibrational stations to tune into and how long to listen. In the coherence frequency, you found the state where all your internal systems harmonize, creating the conditions for effortless manifestation and peak creative flow. Through activating your body as a conscious frequency instrument, you've learned that you are not just a physical form, but a living bioelectromagnetic field capable of generating specific frequencies that shape your reality. You've discovered that your coherent frequency creates an electromagnetic field extending beyond your physical body, making you a constant broadcaster of harmony or discord to everyone you encounter. And finally, you've touched the profound truth that the most powerful action comes not from effort, but from alignment. From the dynamic coherence that allows reality to organize itself around your authentic vibrational signature rather than forcing it to bend to your will. There will be moments when the world pulls you back into old frequency patterns. When stress clouds your coherence, when emotions create static, when thoughts spiral into chaotic broadcasts. In those moments, remember the shortest path back to mastery is conscious frequency choice. 3 coherent breaths can return you to your center. 1 moment of authentic alignment can reconnect you to your creative power. A single conscious choice to vibrate from your truth can restore your mastery frequency. This isn't about perfection. It's about returning. Each time you remember to choose your frequency consciously, you're not just improving your day, you're literally reshaping your reality from the quantum level up. You're becoming a living demonstration that consciousness, not circumstance, is the true creative force in your life. Now, as you step back into your world, carry this frequency with you. Let coherence be your compass. Let alignment be your power. Let authenticity walk with you in every choice, every interaction, every moment. So vibrate. Not from your wounds, but from your wholeness. Not from your fears, but from your truth. Not to control, but to create. The frequency is the key. You are the master. Step into the version of yourself you've always imagined.